So I've had the opportunity to have a meeting this morning with both Transpower and the Electricity Authority to ask some questions about the situation that occurred last night. What we do know, some of it is in the public arena, that New Zealand last night experienced its highest ever peak in terms of demand for electricity, in terms of 7,100 megawatts. Normal winter peak we'd expect on a very cold winter's night to be around 6,500 to 6,700 megawatts. Nevertheless, New Zealanders have a right to expect that on a cold night that the power will stay on and they'll be able to keep the lights on and heat themselves. So I've asked a series of questions for people to go away and find some information on, and I'll be able to provide updates through the day as we get some of that information. One, what we want to know is that everything that could be being generated was being generated. So I've also taken the step of writing to the generators this morning and asking for reassurance that they are operating at generation capacity and seeking assurances what might happen tonight. The questions that I'd like some immediate answers to is why it was that the link between the North and South Island, the HDVC cable, was only operating at 50% capacity. There was some spare capacity in that cable for the transfer of more power between the South and the North Island. And there's some other questions, like, for example, that Genesis didn't bring on the third Rankine at Huntly, and so why it was that didn't occur. Also, that we know within the system, for example, where some of the failures happened, that there was a forecast that there was going to be more wind generation, but it was stiller than was expected. But again, that's not unexpected. When it's cold and frosty, often there isn't wind. That's one of the features. I'll just finish, Bernard, and then take questions. So, for example, we lost 100 megawatts of capacity out of our Tokeno hydro system in the central North Island. My understanding is that was associated with the storm stirring up some weeds that stopped the ability for that system to generate. So I just want some reassurances from Genesis that we're not going to see maintenance issues like that occur again. In terms of the steps forward from here and what happens now, I've asked the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Energy to stand up a bit of a coordination team, because there's a lot of different agencies that operate in this space. Obviously we have Transpower, we also have the Electricity Authority, we have the distribution, and I've asked them to do some coordination, centralise a lot of the questions, but happy to take your questions.
Bernard.
Do you still have confidence in the electricity market to provide competition and security?
Oh, look, I think that it's been well canvassed that we're asking questions about that market and about whether or not it's fit for purpose. That's something a process that we started with our electricity price review, that we've certainly introduced market-making powers. But, we continue to ask questions in that. I want to know whether or not these were engineering constraints or market constraints.